Hey everyone, thanks for watching How to Pixel. I hope you're having a great day so far, and if you aren't, I hope this video will make it better, because this is going to be a pretty cool video today. This isn't going to be a normal behind the scenes video or a normal tutorial video. This is going to be a bit of a special video. If you missed it, about a week or two ago, I did a live stream celebrating the end of the light show. And on that stream, I did a bunch of cool things, like sharing my thought process behind how I made the whole light show, showing how I recorded the light show, I did a giveaway, I did a bunch of cool things. But not everyone could tune in that day. So if you missed it, this video is going to be an edited version of that stream so you can rewatch it and see all the highlights and main things that I talked about from the stream, but not have to watch a 2.5 hour long video. If you do want to watch the entire stream though, that is still up and will always be available. You can watch that right here and see every last thing that happened. But this video is going to condense it down so you can see more of the cool information that I shared. There's going to be timestamps in the scrub bar and in the description so you can skip to different sections of the stream. You can see when I shared random light show advice. You can see when I showed how I recorded the light show. But before we jump into the stream, I want to share two things quickly. Two awesome milestones that the channel has hit all in one video. First off, this video is officially the 200th video for How to Pixel. That's absolutely crazy. 200 videos. Now, while that is pretty cool, it's nowhere near as cool as this other milestone. As of January 15th, we have officially hit 1 million total channel views. That is mind-blowing and super awesome. And I just wanted to share that quickly before we jumped into everything. So thank you everyone so much for watching the videos and allowing me to hit these milestones that are absolutely awesome. But let's just jump right into the stream now, and I hope you enjoy it. I just wanted to take these last few minutes out front, here in front of the light show, to just enjoy it as it's coming to an end in about 5 or so minutes, since these are the last few moments of the light show. It's lightly snowing out here. It's 10 o'clock New Year's Eve. It's peaceful, it's quiet, looks amazing with the moving head beams. This whole light show has been an awesome journey, and it's such a peaceful, quiet night with this light snow. Actually, it's starting to pick up a bit, but it's nice. It looks nice with the light show. So nice to be able to just stand here. No, I don't even have the music playing, just to sit here and look at it in the quiet and enjoy the last few moments of this. There we have it. The sequence has ended. It's now at the part where I have all the lights on. It says Merry Christmas. And the signature rainbow effect. Every year, every light show, I always end it with a beautiful rainbow effect with some sort of sparkles overlaid, just because of how awesome it looks. And then some words on the screen thanking everyone for coming to the show, and thanking our neighbors for putting up with us. And there we go. It is definitely a sad moment to see it end, but this is only the beginning. So I wanted to start off the stream with that video just because I thought it was just an amazing, peaceful moment to end the light show on New Year's Eve. I didn't want it to be super sappy, but I feel like it also deserved its right to be like that, because it has been such an awesome journey all of these years, and to just have it end in a peaceful night like that, it was amazing getting out there to see it. So it was a little bit sappy, but now we can actually move on to a celebration for this awesome light show. I have a whole bunch of stuff planned for this show, and or not for this show, for this live stream. And let me start it out with a celebration sound effect. There we go. Yeah, woo, confetti. It's the end of the light show. So I have a list of a couple of awesome things we're going to be doing. Awesome list of events for today, for this celebration stream. So I have stories for the light show that I can share if anyone's interested. A bunch of awesome stuff to happen with the show. I'm going to be breaking down
my thought process behind the entire show as we watch the video of it together. There's going to be a section where I'm going to be ranking my sequences if we get time for that. That's more of like a joke, but we can go through, rewatch all of my sequences ever and rank them. Random light show advice for noobs. That's a section I have in this video. There's going to be a Q&A. After the Q&A, we're going to be moving on to the sequence giveaway. And then at the end, I have a section for just chatting where we could literally chat about anything with the light show. So let's just get the stream started off with random stories that I could share from the light show. So I don't even know where to start because it's just a bunch of random things that I have written down. So I guess I'll just get started right with my thought, or not my thought process, that's a different part, but just what my plan was for this year's light show. So this year, I started planning for the light show all the way back in, really it was November of last year while last year's light show was up and running. I had been thinking about having to have the light show come to an end because of many different reasons that I want to make a full video explaining, which I will eventually. But I was thinking I might have last year's light show be the end of the show because it had just gotten so stressful and there was a lot of things going on. But then I thought I only have like a few weeks to prepare knowing that this is the final light show. And if I am making one more light show, I want it to be the best light show possible. So I decided one more year so I can have a whole year of planning, coming up with the best effects possible to make it just something magical. So, really the thinking of and planning for this light show started back in November. And out of everything for the light show, there was only one thing I wanted to do, and that was light up the sky with DMX moving headlights. I have been wanting to add those into the light show forever, but I just didn't have the opportunity. So that's how the light show started for this year for planning, is figuring out how can I get moving heads in the light show. This is the final year, I need them in the light show. So yeah, that was the main thing I had been thinking of. And an opportunity presented itself. Actually, I think this was before November. I had Temu. If you don't know Temu is like a website where you could just buy like Chinese products and other products for like cheap prices. Reached out and they wanted to do a sponsorship video with me, and I was a little skeptical about it, and I'm like, okay, sure. If you really want to do this, that they told me I could pick like any product, $100 or less, to talk about. I'm like, okay, if you really want to do this, then I want a DMX moving headlight, because I saw that they sold them, and I'm like, you want to do the sponsorship? Send me one of those. So they did, surprisingly, but it came broken, and I think I shared this in that video. There was like a chunk of one of the arms that was just like not lined up properly, and it still worked, but I'm emailed them back and I'm like, this is exactly what I was expecting. Like, Temu has had a horrible reputation from what I've known about just like junk cheap products, and I'm like, honestly, this is what I expected. So I'm like, can you send me another one? And they did send me another one. So I already had 2 moving heads for free show up to me, but they were from Temu. So I was a little skeptical about adding them in the light show because I thought they would stop working, they'd just malfunction. They worked fine throughout the whole month of December and part of November. They were the 2 moving heads in the middle of the roof, if you've seen the light show video. And I was just shocked at how well they held up. I had a dome built for them to keep them safe from rain and snow, but they handled the cold. We had temperatures as low as 3 degrees Fahrenheit. Handled that fine. They're still up there. I have to get them down eventually, and I have to record the behind the scenes video for them first. But they held up fine, so I was shocked that they worked so well. So that's how I got my hands on the first 2 moving heads. But then I knew I wanted 2 other moving heads in the light show, and I think I had made a video asking everyone, like, do you know any good places to buy them for cheap? Because I know they could be thousands of dollars, but I don't also want to pay just a cheap price and then get horrible ones. I had a guy email me that had some used that he got from eBay, and I was able to connect with him and get those moving heads, which are, I'd say, more to the professional side. Still not huge and high quality, but they are much higher quality than the Temu ones. Those ones are also waterproof or water resistant. I was able to put those out without any covering. they held up just as fine too. All of the moving heads did great. I was very shocked, and I'm very happy that they worked well. Any thoughts regarding skyward moving lights near an airport? That is a actually funny thing, because I got the moving head set up, tested them out, and I realized these things are very bright, and I am located within 10 miles of an airport. So I was a little nervous, and I actually ended up calling the airport. I don't know how I got the number, really. I found one number and I called that, and then that redirected me to another person, and then I got somehow in touch with ATC, which I don't think is the right number to call, but I got on the phone with some guy, and he was like, oh yeah, as long as they're not lasers, it shouldn't be a problem. And I'm like, okay, if that's all I need to know, then sure, okay. So I didn't get in any trouble for using them, didn't get a knock on the door or a letter in the mail, so I assume it shouldn't be a big deal as long as you aren't right next to the airport. Other stories from this year's light show. So yeah, I tested if the moving heads were waterproof. They were, so I put them on the roof. And then the very night that the light show was supposed to start, I posted the snow apocalypse video or whatever about this. We got hit with a huge snowstorm, and the moving heads were covered in snow, and I was worried that they weren't gonna be able to fire up, but I just turned them on and they were able to push the snow off. They were able to move around. The two that have the domes on them, they didn't have to worry about that at all because they're protected. However, the snow would not come off of the domes no matter what. Like, it didn't generate enough heat to melt it. So if there was snow on the roof, the two middle moving heads would just be covered and you wouldn't be able to see them at all, which was a little bit unfortunate because some nights you wouldn't be able to see all of the awesome beams. It'd just be the two that aren't covered. So that was a little disappointing, but at least they functioned and didn't break. I had to test the show like 1,000 times this year compared to other years, because with pixels, it's what you see when you're creating the sequences in xLights is almost always what you'll get when you go and look in real life. Whereas the moving heads, they are something completely different because they have moving parts to them. And if I shined a beam and I wanted it exactly in this one spot, I'd then go out and test the show and it could be way off because the xLights visualizer doesn't do as good of a job as showing exactly where they'll be and what they'll look like. So that was a little bit of a problem. The first night I tested the show, I thought the beams were going to be fine, not shining on the ground or anything. But I looked around and they were shining on our neighbors' houses all the way blocks down. So I had to go and spend a lot of nights changing the programming, making sure everything stays horizontal or higher so it's not shining in anyone's windows. For the lightsaber fight, which we'll see in a little bit in the video, that took so much time of me walking outside, seeing that it doesn't look right, running inside to my room, changing the programming, re-rendering the sequence, saving it, re-uploading it to Falcon Player, going back outside, testing it again, and then seeing it's still not right. It got to the point where I put my xLights files on a hard drive and linked it to my, or connected it to my laptop so I could go outside with my laptop and change the sequence out there without having to run back inside. So yeah, moving heads do add a huge, what's the word I want to use? They make it a lot tougher to test things, and you have to put a lot more effort and work into them. So that is something I wanted to share, and I wrote that down. Let's see, I have a few other random light show stories. The weather this year, whew. The weather was horrible for the light show. In New York, we get lots of snow, but more towards the like January to March time of year. In November and December, it's not as much. This year, it just was insane. It started off with that massive snowstorm, like I said, the first night of the show. We had snow for a week or two. It looked great with the light show because everything looks prettier with the snow. And then all of a sudden, just like that, the temperature went up to 40s and 50s, melted, I don't know about 50s, definitely high 40s though, melted all of the snow, and our ground turned to soup because water into the ground makes it mud, obviously, and anything that was staked down, it just all of a sudden lost a bunch of its durability, because the stakes could be easily ripped out of the ground with it being all soupy mud. And then we got a windstorm right after that. And one morning I woke up to see Bob the Dragon completely flipped over on its side, and I made a YouTube short about that. And then we got that fixed. It was one night where Bob the Dragon wasn't in the light show. Then the next day I was able to get outside, quickly set it up, and I got it back up and running. And then a few days later, just a massive snowstorm again. Let's see what other things I talked about that. I don't think I've talked about this yet, but I had to completely revamp the behind the scenes network stuff for the Christmas light show. Because in the past, I had a whole separate light show router setup and everything was connected to that. And then the Raspberry Pis would communicate to the controllers through the router, then to the controllers. I don't know what happened from the switch from Halloween to Christmas, but that just did not work anymore because it was so much data it was trying to send from the Pi to the controllers that the light show was lagging horribly. It would get about 1 or 2 frames a second, and then it would just freeze for seconds, and then it'd work for a little bit. And I think that's to do with the router just being really old. So what I had to do was directly connect the Raspberry Pi to the controllers with the bridge method that I shared about a long time ago on the channel. So the Raspberry Pi had an Ethernet cable coming right out of it directly to one of the controllers, and then that controller was chained to, and then I had another controller chained to that controller, and then the Raspberry Pi was still on the light show network. But it was just a whole mess having to revamp all of this with a week or two before the light show started. And I do share that in the behind the scenes video, for at least the part that I've recorded so far. So you will see that. But yeah, so that's just something interesting I had to fix. And I don't know, I always thought the router method was the best method where everything is connected to the router. But now seeing how perfectly fine everything has been working when it's connected directly together and skipping the router, just going from the Pi to the controller, I honestly think that's probably my new favorite method. So yeah, that's something interesting. So I don't have really any other stories to share immediately right now. I'll wait a second to see if anyone has any comments or things they want to hear about that I haven't shared yet. But we're gonna move on to the next part, which is going to be breaking down the thought process behind the entire light show. So I have the whole light show video uploaded on my computer here on YouTube, and what I was gonna do was just play it through, and if there's like something I want to share, I'll just pause the video right there, share it. It'd be like, this is how I came up with this effect, or this is my thought process behind this. The only problem is I won't be playing the audio with it because YouTube copyright is wonderful. I can't do that. So it'll be just no sound. I'll just commentate as we go through the video. Okay. So first off, the video starts with a nice little intro. I think I've started the past 5 light shows on YouTube with like this thing that says like Bridgeport's Brightest Lights presents the XYZ Christmas light show. And this year I was like, I want to make it a little bit fancy. I found a snow background to add, so nothing insane, but I made it look cooler. I'm going to assume that you've hopefully seen part of the light show as I get into this and commentate it, because it will be a little bit more helpful, so you've heard the sound effects and music with it. So first off, the intro of the light show. When I started programming the show this year, I knew that I knew this was going to be the final year, so I wanted to make the best show possible. Something where you could just be sitting in your car and be like jaw drop, like it's magical. And because of that, I spent so much time on just the sequences that there was about 3 or 4 weeks left, which is not a lot of time, 3 or 4 weeks left before the light show was supposed to start. And I was like, wait a minute, I need an intro. And I have nothing planned at all for an intro. So if you've seen the light show, you know that the light bulbs, which are voiced by, and I'll move ahead so you can see them. These light bulbs right here are voiced by my siblings and I. While that was an amazing song, it was too sad of a song to end with. While that was an amazing song, it was too sad of a song to end with. 3, 2, 1. Merry Christmas, everyone! Merry Christmas, everyone! And I have to come up with the scripts ahead of time so we can record them. Then I have to edit them together, add the music. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just make the intro about jokingly not having an intro? And that is true. So the light show starts out with it starts out with a countdown right here. A little, what is it called? Singing face on the screen. And it's just saying cue, or what does it say? Activating Epic Christmas Light Show in 5, 4, 3. I have the moving heads turn on. I have the whole display boot up like it's about to be like a grand entrance. It's warming up, and then it gets to 0, and then nothing happens. And then as a joke, I play a clip from Christmas Vacation, the best Christmas movie to exist. And it's the clip where I think his name is Art in the light show, and he's like, beautiful Clark, and then he says those little lights aren't twinkling. As a joke. And then the light bulb, the green light bulb, which is my sister, she's like, Nick, where's the light show? Why isn't it starting? And then that's when I begin saying, oh yeah, I didn't have anything planned for an intro, so here we are. Then after that, it gets to what I call the real intro, which is where we talk about very quickly, like just information about the show. Welcome everyone to the show. I normally say how many lights are in the show, which this year was 6,680, and then just share information like how to find more information out about the show. And then the green light bulb, which is my sister right here, she talks about some basic rules of the show, just telling everyone to keep their headlights off, keep their radio at a reasonable level. That way we don't have any issues with our neighbors. We've never had issues, but I don't want issues to start, so yeah. I always have my little brother do something funny, and he controls the light show by just saying colors, and the light show goes to those colors, and then we actually get started. Now, for the first sequence, I wanted a good big sequence to enter with. I wanted a huge finale, but also something pretty big to start with. And I was struggling to find a good sequence for that, and then I came across Christmas Every Day, which I've used in the light show before, and I'm like, this would be a pretty cool song to go back and use again, and I think it would make a great intro. And I also edited it, so it kind of builds up to the start of the sequence. The light bulbs are still, me and my siblings and I, we're still voicing them, and we're like, this is now your time to sit back and relax, enjoy the light show, blah, blah, blah. And with the music in the background, it helps build it up for when it gets to the big part, when it explodes, everything all white, moving heads on, Bridgeport's brightest lights on the screen, which is right about, I think, any second now. Yeah, right here. And it's going to do it right now. And boom, it just lights up everything. And it is such a stunning effect when you're standing there like, wow, that's blinding. And that's what I wanted. I just wanted it to be like, wow. And then at the start of the light show, I think I did this last year too, I just put Bridgeport's brightest lights on the screen and also the snow globe projection. So this is officially the beginning of the show now. We're getting started. I want to show something really quickly though. I need to get it at the perfect spot. When the moving heads first turn on, it creates this effect that right here. You'll notice that I think I can zoom in to make it a little bit easier to show it too. Yeah, the moving heads create like this blinding light beam that like not the main beam, but it like shines off of it, almost like when you're looking at car headlights going down the road. It like creates these little ripple lines like across around it, and that the way my camera was able to capture that made it look so awesome, and I'm so glad that it worked out like that. As for how I edit the videos, I always say that I want the end product of the video to look as much like the light show did in real life. And for recording the light show, I've only ever used my phone, and I used my phone again for this video, but it's really hard to capture how bright the display actually is and how just awe-striking, if that's the right word, awe-striking, whatever, how it is really like that. And somehow I was able to use the right settings on my phone to get this effect. And I can also use editing too, like color grading in the end, to make it look as close to the real thing as it did. Now, something you gotta be careful of is you don't wanna make the video what you wanted it to look like. Like, if the show looked like this thing in real life, but it didn't turn out how you wanted it to, you shouldn't edit the video in a way to make it appear like that. Because then the video is just you're gonna be able to tell, oh, he put a ton of color grading, that looks so fake, whatever. So an example of that would be like, if these moving head beams weren't this bright in real life when you looked at them, then I shouldn't edit it to make them look that bright, because I don't want to fake the video. That's just my preference. So I wanted to edit it to look like as close as it did to real life. And the only way I was going to be able to record it to look like that was going to be on a night when it was snowing or raining. Because on a clear night, you can't see the beams as well outside. You can still see them with your eye perfectly fine, but a camera especially can barely pick them up. But I noticed from taking pictures of the display that on a night when it's snowing or raining, you could see the beams so much better because they have that rain and snow to reflect off of. So I had to wait for a very odd time frame to record the light show. I had to wait for not much snow on the display, because if the display is covered in snow, then it's going to hide things. Like, you won't be able to see the pea stakes, you won't be able to see the mini trees. So I had to wait till there was minimal snow on the ground, but snow in the air. And it was really tough because I had spent multiple nights like looking at the weather, like maybe tonight's the night, but the display would either be too covered or it wasn't enough rain for the camera to be able to pick it up. So finally, I got this opportunity where it was a minimal amount of snow, but you'll notice if you look at the roof, the snow on the roof looks a little bit like messed up. Like, it's not like flat snow like you'll normally see on your roof when it snows. And the reason for that is I had to go out during the day before I recorded to brush off the lights so you could see them. The domes, I had to climb up on the roof, uncover those so they will shine through the domes. And then the peak of the roof up there, that was also covered in snow. So I literally had to take a shovel up there while standing on the roof at an angle, shoveling snow off so you'd be able to see the lights when I actually recorded them that night. And yeah, you can see them on both sides. So that's why the snow looks a little bit messed up on the roof. It was because I had to shovel it off and move it around so you could see everything fine. And then on the ground too, if I move this down here, you'll notice the ground snow looks a little bit messed up too. That's because the snowbank had gotten snow high. The snowbank had gotten so high from the plow coming by, constantly moving snow off the road. So I had to shovel the bank down, throw it into our ditch to help level the snow out. And this tree, especially right here, it was really hot. The snow was completely covering it, so I had to dig that out too, because since I knew this was the last year of the show, I wanted the video to look absolutely amazing. It had to be done. So when I record the show, I use my phone in manual mode. That way I can adjust like the ISO and the shutter speed, and that gives me full control of how I'm recording the show. And you might find this useful if you're trying to figure out how to get your show to look like this. For my phone, the ISO can go up to 3200, but I found that when you use the max ISO your camera offers, everything gets super grainy. You'll see like little pixels just flashing, everything's really grainy, and it doesn't look good. So if you take it down one level, that allows you to get a really bright looking video, not the brightest possible, but a bright video without graininess. And I'd rather have more clarity than super bright, so I keep my ISO at 1600. I record at 4K 60 frames per second. I record at 60 frames per second because the light show sequences are at 40 frames a second, meaning that I need to record at least 40 frames a second so the camera can capture everything. And the only two options are 30 frames a second or 60. So I go with 60. And then in prior years, I recorded only in 1080p, but when I'm editing and I want to create effects where I'm like zooming in, especially for like the Star Wars sequence video, I record in 4K. That way I can zoom in up to like 2 times, I think it is, or something, and still have 1080p video in the end, if that makes sense. So that's why I choose 4K. And then when I'm recording from this main angle right here, I don't do any editing, so the final video does come out as 4K. So that's why this is 4K. And the Star Wars video is actually 2K, which is between 1080p and 4K, because I only did a little bit of zooming, so it still was 2K quality in the end. That's how I record the display. The shutter speed I put at the absolute max, and then the focus, that's normally the toughest thing, because if I have it just like one tick wrong, then everything's gonna appear out of focus. And you'll notice, let me get my my monitor to be back the right size on screen here. You'll notice for this video, a lot of stuff is actually out of focus. The dragon, that's pretty out of focus. If you look at the Toon sign, that's so out of focus. And I noticed this as I was recording, and after the first sequence ended, I stopped the recording to fix it, and then you'll notice in the next sequence, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Now everything's a little bit better in focus. You can see the dragon a bit better, the Toon sign a bit better, but still, I'm recording on a cell phone, so everything's not gonna look amazing, and there's still gonna be a lot of things not perfectly in focus. But I wanted to make sure that I got the full color of the display, the full brightness, with as minimal editing as possible. And it turned out so great with all of the lights. Let me get it back to where I have the moving heads on. The display itself came out perfect in the end. There's absolutely no color grading, no video adjustments to the display itself. It came out perfectly fine. No saturation changes, nothing. This is the raw video. However, for the moving heads in the sky, those didn't appear bright still. They're still pretty dark. So what I did is the top part of the screen from about the roof outline and higher, I only color graded that section of the video. So I just realized I could be using my mouse this whole time instead of trying to point at it. So this brightness right here, this is what it looks in real life, but this is not what my camera picked up. It picked up something much darker. So from about this level right here and higher, I color graded it to be, I think I upped the gain like 4 times. I used DaVinci Resolve for color grading. It's a very awesome video editor. It was either the gamma or the gain that I increased. And I made it so that instead of having a hard stop, like right here, it's 4 times brighter, and then right here, a little bit lower, it's 0 times brighter. I faded it down with a mask. So it's 4 times brighter, then 3, then 2, then 1. So it almost fades together to look like it's just one video, which it really is in the end. And you can't tell that it's separate color grading in the top and bottom. The average person isn't gonna know that. So I thought that was some fancy camera or fancy editing tricks I did. There are a few parts when the display is blue for some reason, you can see almost a line where the brightness stops. But yeah, I just wanted to share that though, so that, you know, that's how I was able to get the moving heads to look so good. At first, it had to be snowing, and then I did some video editing to just the top part of the screen so those appear brighter. Yeah, someone asked me if I use fog or why don't I use fog. First, I think fog would be a very tough thing to make work to like brighten up the moving heads. Because of the snow we have, I don't think a fog machine would be able to handle the cold. Maybe it would. And it just seemed like a logistical problem for me. Like, I don't know how I would have gotten it up. Well, I didn't know how I was going to get the moving heads up there, but I got them up there anyway. I probably could have gotten a fog machine up there, but I don't know how it would have lit the whole sky exactly like I wanted. So I just didn't do anything. I just let them be. On nights when it's 100% clear, you can still see them pretty decently, but you could definitely tell that the 2 middle ones are Temu moving heads because they're a lot dimmer than the outer ones. But when there's snow or rain, you can't tell. It looks amazing. So yeah, let me continue on though. Now you know how I edited the video and how I made it to look great. So anyway, continuing with the show, this sequence is a pretty decent sequence. I think I did a good job on it. That is also a cool effect too. I just love it so much when the moving heads spin around and come to the front. Right here again, you could see how it creates that like starlight effect where it creates these lines. There is no video editing to that part. That is the raw video because that editing for that box doesn't appear till above the moving heads. So right here, that just looks amazing, and I love how it creates that effect. The chorus, I used a whole bunch of shader effects. I've started learning about shader effects and xLights, and they look so cool. So right now, it's all just normal xLights effects, like you got a spiral bouncing back and forth with a value curve. But right here, this is a shader effect. I don't remember any of the names of them, but this is a shader effect. This is a different one. This effect too, I can't tell you how happy I am with how great this video turned out. It looks so much like you're watching it in real life. Right here, it creates that effect again where the beams come off of the light. It looks so gorgeous. I think this is the Black Cherry Cosmos shader effect, but with the hue adjusted so it comes out as a different color. Black Cherry Cosmos, that's a very easy shader effect to use, and it looks great. So if you want to start toying around with shaders, I'd recommend looking at the Black Cherry Cosmos one. And then this is another one, and I like this transition too. That was a pretty cool transition I had. I had a fan effect as like a mask on top of it turn to to bring in the next shader effect. I don't remember how exactly I did that. I'd have to look at the xLights sequence. But now this is another thing I want to point out too. The colors of the moving heads. So I originally only planned on using white for the moving heads because I had heard colors with moving heads don't turn out well unless you have fog, unless you have fake snow or real snow. And I thought it would be too difficult to make colors work to still be visible and use colors with the display. Especially since the moving heads have a color wheel, which is a physical wheel inside that spins around to like move a filter over the LED. That also makes it hard too because it can't just instantly go to yellow. I can't just hit a button and say instantly go to yellow. It has to spin that wheel to get where I want it to go. But I did some testing and yellow still appeared very bright. There were only two colors that I was gonna, or three colors technically, that I was gonna use with the light show after some testing. I was gonna use white, I was gonna use yellow, which I did here, and then I was gonna use aqua, or like a type of blue, like a light blue color. That one also appeared very well, and I could see it perfectly fine. The problem was that was all the way at the end of the color wheel for both moving heads for me. So I would have to tell it ahead of time to switch to aqua about 3 seconds before I wanted that color. And it wasn't working out, so I'm like, you know what, I'll only use white and yellow. If the light blue color was like closer to the front of the color wheel, I would have used that, but it wasn't. So yeah. So we got yellow here though, and it goes nice with this shader effect. And then this is a shader effect with sparkles, or with a twinkle effect overlaid on top of it. And then I have the text go across all of the screens that say Christmas every day, since this is the part of the sequence where the guy singing goes Christmas every day. Something I wanted to point out that really annoyed me. I'm gonna put this at slow speed so you can watch it very slowly. Watch the text going across the screens. When the Christmas every day comes across this screen and on the tree, they're perfectly in sync, but the projector, there's nothing there yet. Still nothing, still nothing. Christmas is all the way on this screen basically, and there's still nothing here. Now it finally starts here. That is not a programming problem. That is just some sort of odd network issue I was having. The projector that projects onto the snow globe for that prop right there, the Raspberry Pi, there's a separate Raspberry Pi right next to it running Falcon Player in remote mode, and it was just always delayed. I don't know why. And you'll see from most of the sequence that the screen is like a second or two behind. And I ran out of time. I had no time to troubleshoot it or fix it. It was a hardwired connection. I wasn't using Wi-Fi, and I just couldn't get it to sync up. So I don't know why that happened, but yeah. So that's just something I wanted to point out if you ever noticed that. So yeah, this sequence is definitely one of my top sequences this year. I wanted a big intro for the light show. Right here is where you can see the blue that I was talking about. When the display goes max blue, you can see this line right here. See how like there's this odd line right here where everything above it is like a cloud, but everything below it is just darkness. That's where that mask starts to fade out and there's no color grading up here. You might be asking, why didn't I just put that color grading effect on the whole display? Well, then it ruins the display and it starts to get too bright. Everything gets blurry. So that's why I only wanted it up there. And you can hardly notice this. It's only when the whole display is blue. So yeah, we continue with the sequence. And then it ends. And it moves on to the next one, which is, it's beginning to look like Christmas. So this sequence, a lot of this not a lot of them, about half the sequences don't have the moving heads in them. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to save the wow factor for them. If I use them in every sequence, it's gonna take your attention away from the display, and you're only gonna be focusing on the moving heads, which is cool, but the display is the main thing. The moving heads isn't the main display. The pixels are what make most of the display. So I wanted to make sure there was still a fair amount of sequences where it's only the pixels, and then we could bring back in that wow factor of the moving heads later in a more upbeat sequence. So that's why this one doesn't have moving heads, because this is a slower-ish sequence. If we could continue on, you'll notice I have snow falling on the snow globe. I really loved that effect that I came up with. That's actually a meteor effect with, what is it? Not spirals, the swirl intensity changed. This sequence is a pretty decent one. I didn't put that much effort into it though. It still took me about a week to program, but it was I went through it much quicker. The sequences that are really good, those could take me 3 weeks or more to program. It's not 3 weeks of me waking up, spending the whole day sequencing and going to bed. It's more of like 3 consistent weeks of me spending 2 or 3 hours a day working on it. So yeah, now the next one we have is Never Gonna Give You Up Christmas version. This sequence is a funny sequence. I always wanted to put like some sort of Rickroll in the light show, and I figured out how to. I found this Christmas Never Gonna Give You Up song, and I'm like, I have to add this. This is pretty funny. Definitely not one of my top sequences, but still a good looking sequence. No moving heads in this one either. Mainly because I was really running out of time and wanted to save the programming time I had to put the moving heads in more important sequences for me. A cool thing that I did with this sequence though is I put Rick Astley with a Christmas hat on the snow globe, so it just makes it even better. Well, while he's doing his like Rickroll dance, I edited a little Christmas hat on him. It looks really cool. This is one cool effect right here that I've done it a few times and I really like doing it. So what it is it's this white ball that comes around and then it explodes. So it creates this like swirl effect. It's coming and then it gets to the center of the display and it explodes. The way I did that is that ball, that is a fan effect with the fan blades set to have no gaps in it. So it looks like a solid ball. And then I put value curves on the X and Y coordinates of it. I kept the, what is it called? The radius very low. So it comes around, the coordinates, the X and Y coordinates get moved. Then when it gets right to that spot, it disappears and a shockwave effect comes on. It's so quick that you can't notice. That shockwave, is there a shockwave actually? Yes, there is a shockwave. The shockwave blows up and underneath that there's an off effect, and that off effect has an in transition for a circle explode. So it's the fan gets there, that turns off, and then that shockwave comes. And to keep all of the effects behind it off, it's an off effect expanding to turn on the whole display. So that's how you will see multiple effects behind it all fade in at the exact same time. Because like this is an effect up here. It's a butterfly effect on most of the display. I have a wave effect on the pea stakes, single strand effect on the candy canes and arches. What are the trees doing? Trees also a single strand effect. Like it's all of these different effects, and I put an off effect on the whole house group with that in transition to make it blow up like that. Okay, continuing on. Now we have one of the light bulb skits. I like to add these funny skits into the show every like 3 or so sequences. This one is, what is this one about? I can't remember. Okay, yeah. My siblings, as the light bulbs, they jokingly say, how come I always get to decide what the show looks like? But basically, it ends up with me talking about how, oh, I can't remember if I paid the power bill yet this month. And then I have the moving heads shine perfectly on the transformer out front of our house to make it look like the transformer is exploding, because I never told the power company how much electricity we'll be using. So it creates this cool effect with all the lights are on, then all of a sudden it flashes, transformer flashes, and I have it turn on red. So I do actually use a moving head color besides white and yellow. I use red, and it shines onto the transformer to make it look like a fire or something. You can't see the beams there because it's red, but you will see the white beam. So that's why I don't use red, because you can see the white beams right now, but when it goes to red, you can't see the beams at all. But this is something that took forever for me to do. I was standing right here in the garage with my computer, looking out, and I kept slightly changing the positions of the fourth and first moving head to make a point exactly on the transformer. So this is just an effect I created. I really love it. Like, just joking, oh, I didn't tell the power company, we didn't use about how much electricity we'll be using, and then all of a sudden, transformer explodes, whatever. And then I continue to joke about it by telling my little brother to go plug an extension cord into the neighbor's house. This is an ongoing joke we've had for a year or two, and he is jokingly like, oh yeah, sure. And then my sister is like, isn't that illegal? And it's just to create like these entertaining, funny jokes. I continue talking about the new effects the new props we've added, and I say, just this realistic snow globe that we've added for one of the new props, and then it plays a clip of Christmas Vacation once again, where they say, it's a beaut, Clark, it's a beaut. And I also joke about the moving heads being laser beams too. And then also, why is Bob the Dragon in the Christmas show? Bob the Dragon's always been in the Halloween show, so that's another thing I added into this funny skit that my sister asks, and I say, oh, because I found him this cute little bow and candy cane to add to him. And then my little brother is like, wait, I thought it was just because you were too lazy to take him down after Halloween. So just some funny jokes. Moving on to the next sequence. Next we have Sarajevo, also known as Christmas Eve, I think, from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. This is one of my favorite Christmas songs, and this is the only song that has been in the display every single year since 2019, when I started the show before it even went public. In 2019, the show never went public because it failed. I wanted to add this sequence again because it's a tradition, and I'm hoping at some point to be able to edit all, and I'm gonna pause that because I want to go back over that effect again. But I want to one day edit all the videos of me using the sequence in every year's display together into one, so we can look and see, wow, the show started from 500 lights and is now at 6,000 plus lights, and using the same song, here's what the programming looks like as it's improved over the years. So it's just a cool thing to do that I think is going to be cool to do. And then once again, I have another one of those wow scenes where everything goes on as the sequence starts. Moving heads go on, whole display goes on, and I have some effects on the projector, and it just ends up looking really cool. Now, you will notice that some of these effects I did reuse from last year, mainly because I was running out of time with how much time I spent programming other sequences. So there are some new effects, but some of them are the same as last year's Sarajevo sequence. Let me continue on. This sequence, there isn't much super special that I want to talk about, so I will skip past it. Other than the very end of the sequence, I love to do this effect where I just make everything flash as fast as possible. Borderline enough to give you a seizure. I know it's a little crazy, and that's why I have calm songs to compensate like for how crazy the show gets. But it there's a scene from Deck the Halls, if you've ever seen the movie Deck the Halls, where I think his name is Buddy. He's like out there messing with all of his controllers, and the show is going crazy that he has. And it's such a cool effect, and that's why I like to do it too. Just very briefly at the end of the song, and this song really goes with it too. This is like a very fast rock type song. So right now, oh no, I missed it. Right now is when it happens. So yeah, everything just flashes like crazy. And then the sequence ends. Next is Magic. Like I said, this sequence, like I said earlier in the stream, I barely did any programming to this sequence. I got this from xLights around the world. What I did was rearrange the effects. I put them on different models and changed them a little bit just because I didn't like how dim they had it at the beginning. Most of the sequence was very dark. I'm not sure what the thought process was behind that, or maybe I just didn't import it the right way, but I made it a little bit brighter because I didn't want it so dark. My favorite thing about this sequence is this looks like one of those sequences where the moving heads are just going to be off. I didn't do any moving head programming, but then it gets to the one part where it starts to build up from this calmer song to this more upbeat song, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, boom, the moving heads are on again, and that is right here. just like that, and they flash too, so it's like, who says there can't be magic, like, as the moving heads are going like that. It times itself perfectly with the shockwaves that were included with the sequence. And I have them slowly tilting up too. It just turned out to be an awesome effect. And then I have them continue flashing but come back down. And then this is another effect that I found with moving heads that looks so cool. Not this one yet. Was it that one? Yeah, it's right here. They're like moving slightly out of time with each other to create like this wave effect, and it looks so cool. And then it goes off and then it comes back on, and now I have it doing with the light also flashing across them. So you'll see that this one lights up and then like moves down the line. It turns out to be such an awesome effect. I just love it how it does that. And then it goes quiet, very peaceful, very calm. It's an amazing sequence that the xLights team programmed, and I think I just made it like a tiny bit better by just adding the moving heads into it. Next, we have another talking scene. This one is mainly to raise awareness about how we do a food drive every year for the Bridgeport Food Pantry, and how we also sell LED wands that sync to the show for the food pantry as well. That went pretty well this year. We got a lot of money for the food pantry, a lot of food that we received, but I didn't sell as many wands as I was hoping to. I have like 50 more, and now they're kind of pointless. So I might like sell those, not as for like someone to come to the show, but sell them for someone else to use in their own light show. Or I might just keep them. I haven't decided yet. But so this light bulb scene is with us just talking about the food drive coming up on the dates and how people can leave food in the bin, and then we'll take it to the food pantry. We've raised over $300 something and brought a ton of food over to the food pantry for Bridgeport. So that was just awesome. This part is really funny. So every night I would have a bin at the end of the driveway right here where these lights are lighting up for the food donation. So if someone comes by one night, they could drop the food in there, and then every night after the show, I collect it. And I was jokingly saying in the sequence, if you can't make it the night we're doing the food drive, you could come by any night and place food in our conveniently placed bin at the end of the driveway that we will now illuminate with over 100,000 lights. And what I do is turn the screen on maximum white. That takes a lot of power right there. I think the whole screen, when it's on white, takes 6 amps, I want to say. And then I have 2 moving heads. The 2 that could tilt beyond horizontal, I tilt them down so they light up that spot where the bin is so everyone can see it. And it's kind of funny just how bright it makes it. Something I didn't cover that I wanted to share is the reason I have a close-up angle of the singing faces when they're talking is because you'll notice in the rest of the show, let me find like a good spot where they're all singing, right here. Since this angle is so far away, they're very blurry and they're out of focus because I can't get everything in the show in focus. I have to say, do I want the roof to be in focus? Do I want the ground to be in focus? Or do I want to meet in the middle somewhere? So when they're only talking and the lights aren't doing anything, I thought it would be pointless to keep the camera right here and have them be out of focus when I could just move the camera closer to them so you could see them much better, since really all the lights are doing is just a singular meteor effect. Now, onto my favorite sequence right here. And for this one, I'm going to switch to a different video. This is the Star Wars sequence. This one, though, is where I have the camera angles move around. When I'm creating the videos for the light show, I like to have one main video that shows the entire show from start to finish, only from one angle. So it's like you're sitting in your car watching the show. That way there's no distractions. You can just watch it, do whatever you want with it. But then I also like to have what I call the YouTube algorithm appeasing video, where it changes the angles pretty fast. It keeps viewers locked in on the video, like their attention span. It keeps their attention spans on the video with these changing angles. So that way, it just helps keep the retention rate up. It helps my channel get more views when YouTube sees, oh, they like this video. We'll recommend more videos. But I don't want all of my videos to be like greedy trying to get YouTube views. So that's why I like to have the one video where it just shows everything from one main angle so you can watch the whole show if you like. Plus, with the different angles, this video turned out amazing. The way I record the different angles is I basically write down ahead of time, I want angles here, 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 here. I want an angle from the left side of the display, from the right. I want an angle showing just the screen, all of these. And then I'll go and record the whole sequence from that angle. So like right here from this side angle, I recorded the whole sequence from this angle. I recorded also the whole sequence from this angle. And that way I have 5-minute long videos of the whole sequence in 10 different angles. Then I can go and edit them and say, oh, well, I think it should be this angle at this part. So I'll only show this video, and then I'll only show this video. That way, I'm not planning it ahead of time. And if I plan ahead of time and only record the sections that I plan on using the video for, then I might be like, oh, well, that didn't turn out how I liked it to. So that's why I got all of these angles. I have full videos of them, so I could switch through any angle I want. And like, if in one angle a car drives by, I won't use that angle while the car is there. That way it's not something that's distracting. So this sequence, now to talk specifically about the sequence, this is a Star Wars sequence where I combined multiple Star Wars songs and had some really awesome ideas for them. You may be noticing that this year there was a lot more Star Wars in both the Halloween and Christmas light shows. I did Star Wars for the Halloween show, Star Wars for Christmas, and that's because over the 2025, towards the beginning of the year, a friend got me addicted to Star Wars. I had actually never seen Star Wars before, and then they told me and some other people, I need you to watch Star Wars. You have to watch Star Wars. So I went and watched a bunch of Star Wars, and they're like, wow, how have I never seen this before? This is so cool and awesome. So now I'm hooked on Star Wars and wanted to add Star Wars in the light show. So the first song is a Christmas version I found of like the Star Wars Imperial March. And then right here, this effect is so cool. I thought, why not have the beams of the moving heads act like lightsabers so they can move around and like hit each other, create sound effects. So I edited a whole entire audio file. I quieted down the background music, and then I found like lightsaber effect sounds online. I edited them all together, and it turned out very awesome. So they like swinging around. It's like, whoa, 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 like the light show or the lightsaber sound effects. And then right here is where the lightsabers actually hit each other, and then it makes the lightsaber hitting sound effect. But when I was programming this, the moving heads, I had to move way faster because I'm thinking of like the one fight scene from Star Wars. I think it's in episode 1 with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul. And like, I had read how the fight was so fast that they had to slow it down in post-production. I'm like, that's what I want. I want the lightsabers to be moving so fast and whatnot. But then I got outside to test them, and in xLights, it's like, they're like going like this. I have them moving all around in different directions. But then in real life, they're really only just like bouncing in the same spot. And I'm like, why is it doing this? The moving heads cannot just instantly get to where you want them to go. They have motors and they take time to move around to get there. So when I tested this, I realized I need to slow down the sequence a lot because the moving heads can't keep up, and they're supposed to be in one spot all the way over here and then all the way over here. So they're just stuck bouncing right between there because they aren't getting to those spots fast enough. So I did have to slow it down. And you will also notice too, right here, they technically do hit each other, but they don't make the hitting sound effect because in xLights, I had the moving head beams chopped off only shining this high up. And I didn't realize, oh, well, in real life, they're going to shine up literally to the clouds. So they're going to hit at some point. So that is another little flaw, but most people aren't going to care. And for this part too, I heavily color graded this part of the video because since no lights are on at all, the camera could not pick up the moving heads at all. It was struggling. So I had to crank up either the gain or gamma again to like 8, I think it was. And I also increased the shadows a little bit too, so you could see the house. That way it doesn't look like just 2 lines floating in a void. You could see, oh, there's a little tree back there. There's a house here. This is on someone's house this is happening. So the lightsaber effect, and then it goes back into the song. And this is sort of like a story. Right now, the lightsabers, they just started having a fight, but the fight isn't over yet, and we pick it up later in the sequence. So we're continuing on. I have it all dark and red to show like Sith vibes because It's all dark and sad right now. And another thing I forgot to comment on too, I was gonna have the lightsabers be different colors, like one of them was gonna be blue and one of them was gonna be red, but then the colors didn't really look that bright, so I figured I might as well just do only white. I just want to comment on this camera effect right here. This is, oh my goodness, this effect is so amazing. I got much closer to the display than I normally do. And to record this, I had to put my camera in the road, my tripod in the middle of the road. It was like 11:30 at night when I was recording. So I just was hoping no cars would come by, and if one did, then I'd have to like run and grab it and get out of the way. But from this angle right here, it's so much closer, so the camera absorbs the light better, and it allows you to see the snow that's falling, because like I said, I had to record the show when it's snowing. It allows you to see the lights so much better than the very zoomed, like right here, it doesn't give you that cool of an effect as it does up close. So I noticed that, and I tried to use that up close effect a few other times. Right here, this one just shows the projector showing Darth Vader saying, "You don't know the power of the dark side." And then we jump to another lightsaber battle. This is the main one right here. And then I also added in the two little moving heads as extra, like, just flashes of lights. I was debating which moving heads do I use for the two lightsabers. And I figured probably 1 and 4, the outer ones, because those are the more expensive, slightly more professional ones. Those aren't the Temu ones, so they are brighter. So I figured I'll use those ones. And then I wanted the other ones to light up for this part to be extra sound effects, because now the lightsabers are just constantly hitting each other. They're not just like swinging like at the beginning. They're fighting. Right here, I added this flashing effect where it's like when the lightsabers get stuck and they're holding them against each other, like pushing as hard as they can, and it's creating that sound. But the only thing I'm slightly disappointed about is I made them white, which makes them look like additional lightsabers in the battle. The original plan was the two big moving heads were going to be blue and red, or blue and pink even, because pink is close to red. And that way, white is just going to look like sparks. But since I had to change the colors, I never went and changed the little moving heads. It's not a big deal. It's just one of those like little nitpick things that I do. So yeah, the battle continues, and then the one lightsaber just swings around, and it turns off the other one, makes it look like they lost, and they did. So yeah, and you'll see it again right here. The left one swings around, hits the right one, and the right one turns off. The left one wins. So yeah, and that would have been the blue lightsaber if I could have changed the colors. Oh, another thing I want to comment about too. If you watch the sequence, pay attention to this. You can't notice it on YouTube as much, but in real life you could. I edited the sound effects of the lightsabers hitting to only come out of specific audio channels. So when the left lightsaber got hit and the explosion was on the left side, it would make that sound on the left channel of the stereo audio. And then on the right side, it would come out of the right channel. So that way, when someone's sitting in their car with their bass cranked up and they're right in front of the light show, when these effects are happening, they feel like they're in the show. I just can't like say how cool I thought that was that I came up with that idea. So it brings them even closer into the show. These tiny little things that like weren't that hard to do. All I had to do was just in my audio editor, just slide the fader to go only to this audio channel. And now this clash sound effect comes out of your left ear, or comes to your left ear. The boom sound effect comes to your right ear. And it made it feel like when you're sitting in a car, you're right there experiencing this. What's going to happen? Who's going to win? Like, that was my goal. And really, that's the goal with all my shows, is just bring it to life. So then after that, we skip to this song. I can't remember the name of the song, but it's like an epic song when Luke Skywalker is just looking off into the sunset. And then I have another close-up angle, except from the side. The snow looks so good from this angle. I have the sunset picture from Tatooine. I think, yeah, that's the planet it happened on. Tatooine, if I remember correctly, where the sunset happened. And then it moves on to the victory song from episode 6. It has this play, nothing too fancy with this. And then that close-up angle, again, looks so awesome with the snow. Really love it. And then it continues on. Then we have the credits song that plays at the end. And then like I have the moving heads flash on for like the booms in the song. Or nope, not the booms. That was the floodlights that flash for the booms. This was for like the da 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 da, like that part. And then close-up angle again. Snow looks amazing. I will say the quality probably looks horrible on stream since I'm live streaming this. But go watch the video after, it looks amazing. And then Star Wars. And one funny thing I do want to say that kind of did annoy me in the end, but I couldn't fix it. Star Wars comes up on the screen. You'll notice right at the end, someone was walking right there at the bottom. They were walking on the road, and my camera is like on the other side of the road. And my camera caught them walking in front of the display right at the end. You probably won't even notice it. You can still see him walk across the display. But like, watch the bottom right. That person just walks across, and I was out of time, so I couldn't re-record it. But, so yeah, that kind of annoyed me a little bit. It's not the person's fault. He's just walking there minding his business. But, yeah. So that's the Star Wars sequence. Let's continue on with the rest of the sequences. Lava Chicken. It's Lava Chicken. I had to add this from the Minecraft movie. I thought it was so funny. This is just a goofy song. This whole section of the show right here is just songs from popular movies and stuff. I found a version that also included some of the like memes like Chicken Jockey and Diamond Armor full set, all of that stuff. Probably most people don't understand those jokes, but I knew a lot of the younger audience that was at the show would really appreciate those. So that's why I added those. I'm just gonna skip through the sequences. This is all basic xLights sequences with some fancy value curves, color curves, no shader effects. This was actually the first sequence I programmed the moving heads to. So this was my first bit of moving head programming ever. So it might look a little bit rough compared to the rest of them. And then one of my most favorite sequences that I created this year, Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters. Again, this is a song that a lot of the younger audience really appreciated. I loved being able to like hear everyone sing along outside the light show with this. Is there anything, I'm trying to think if there's anything super crazy with this sequence. I feel like I just did an amazing job coming up with the effects. This part right here, this is another shader file or shader effect. This is where the song gets calm and it's building up, and I have the whole display turned golden, since that's the name of the song, and it gets brighter like right there at that part. It's dimmer, and then it fades into a little bit more brightness to like add a little bit wow factor to it. And then the moving heads start going up. They're golden of yellow, but golden. They're golden of course because of the song name. And then when they say we're going up, 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 I have the moving heads move up, 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 just because, and the whole display actually, up, 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 there you go, right there. Everything goes up with that. When they say golden, I have all the lights turn on yellow / golden. I really like this. This was a single strand effect on a lot of the house. I'll come back to the Megatree in a second, that's something else. But it was a single strand effect on the house, bouncing all around, and I got that from one of my older sequences. It was a Halloween sequence. I can't remember the name of the song. It's like bang something from, I don't know. But like everything is bouncing around crazy, and I really wanted to create that effect again, and I hadn't had the chance to, so I'm like, you know what, why don't I try doing that right here? So everything bounces around and it looks really cool. Now the Megatree, that took me a while. That is an awesome effect right there. What that is it's a pinwheel in different spots of the Megatree. So right here, the pinwheel is all the way to the left. Oh, and my mouse went invisible again. The pinwheel is on the left side of the tree, and then it just does one single arm across the tree at a slight angle. Now the next one is at the top of the tree, swings around, then the other side of the tree, and with effects playing in the background as well. So it's just a pinwheel bouncing around in all directions. So it's like that single strand effect, but with extra, it looks cooler by doing this extra thing by making it a pinwheel. And then the Megatree, let's see, right here, this is like 4 spiral effects all overlaid on each other, and it turned out looking really good. I changed the direction, the angle, mixed them up. It looked really cool. The song goes back to calm, so I have calmer effects now, slowing it down. Then the golden lights start to slowly fade in. It's a really long color curve, so everything's pink, blue, but now it's fading back to yellow very slowly. Moving heads kick back on. looks really cool. And then it's a little bit whitish too, and then it really turns golden, and then boom. And now we're back to everything bouncing around. The moving heads, I had to do a lot of adjustments with those, because then again, it was one of those things where they couldn't move fast enough. They weren't getting to their positions with enough time. So I just did a lot of programming to get them moving way ahead of time, so they're moving already when they turn on to make them look better. At the end, this last effect here at the end was my most favorite thing ever. 1 second, right here. Everything is bouncing around. It looks so amazing. This, I don't even know where to begin talking about this. So first off, everything has a single strand effect on it. The snowflakes bouncing all around, roof bouncing around, everything. It's a single strand effect with lots of other sparkles happening in the background. But the moving heads, what I did was just program them to stay in one position this whole time. They don't move at all. It's just the light flashes back and forth. Like number 1 is on, then off. Then 2 is on, then off. Then 3 is on, and so on. And it just bounces with everything. It looks so cool how the beams met in the sky. So yeah, that right there, top best moving head effect I've ever done. Now moving on, the ending. For the ending of the light show, I was debating, do I make it a grand, massive, awesome finale with an upbeat song? Do I put in some sort of inspirational, sad message or happy message? Do I do a calm ending? Do I do a happy ending? This is the final thing I get to do for the light show. What do I do? And I decided, why not do both? So I start off with talking about that this next sequence is going to be the final sequence of the show, and it's a whole mix of songs from the Polar Express. I saw it made on YouTube. It is just an awesome mix. The guy who made it did amazing. And I think I have the name of it. Yeah, and the timestamps in the description, it has his name, so you could go check it out. It's such a happy, sappy, sad song. Like an emotional roller coaster. It starts off happy, then there's like sad, calm parts, and my goal was to like almost bring a tear to the eye because of how pretty it is, but then be like, psych, that's not the end of the show. We have an upbeat song because we can't end it calm like that. So that was my thought process. So we have this happy, sad song right here, the Polar Express. It's slower at some points, faster at others. This is a really cool effect right here. What I did is take 2 meteor effects, and one of them is only on half of the display, the top half. The other one was on the bottom half. And it has a color curve and a value curve on the speed. So it slows down right here, and then it speeds up here with more meteor effects in it. And actually what it was, it's a bar effect on the whole house. It's 1 bar effect with colors going across the house. That's what has the value curve. And then the meteor effect, that's just black. So that's really just turning off pixels. So it's a bars effect with then 2 meteor effects on top of it. This is a shader effect. Once again, Black Cherry Cosmos. I think that's the effect, or the shader effect. It's my favorite shader. Everyone uses it a bunch. Everyone that uses shaders uses it a bunch. I use it a bunch. Then the sequence starts to build up right here. It gets to one of the more upbeat parts. I like how I had, that was another one of my favorite moving head effects. Everything just boom explodes again, sort of like it did at the beginning. A signature thing for me for the light show is doing rainbow effects towards the end of the show, because I just think rainbow is the coolest effect. So I already start to ease into that, making people think, oh, it's a rainbow effect. It's really coming to the end of the show because he always does rainbow at the end. And then this effect. The moving heads look so cool as they slowly expand. They unfortunately don't line up perfectly. You can see right here, I wanted them to all meet at one spot, but due to how they're sitting on the roof and how the 2 outer ones, they have a slight tilt. Like the whole base is tilted to allow water to drain off of them. So it causes it to not line up perfectly. The song builds up once again here. I have a very flashy part as the drums get like super loud right there. It looks amazing. You really should listen to it with the music afterwards. And it continues to do it again with the moving heads. Sequence continues on. A big flash right there with the drums. sequence continues on, and then the final rainbow effect as it comes to the end of the mix, and then it gets super bright with a plasma rainbow effect. The way I did this one is I used the plasma effect with the effect preset colors set to the rainbow one, added a sparkle on top of that, or a twinkle effect on top of that. Everything fades to white, and then it fades out. And right now the music is so calm, and I have the moving heads turn on because now this allows you to see the moving heads in the sky with no other lights other than this tiny amount of twinkling lights. No other lights to drown them out. You can only see the moving heads along with a little bit of flickering for like I think it's the piano right now. And I really did achieve my goal. While I was showing people this before the show actually went live, they were like kind of tearing up because of how sad it was. And then a slow fade out, everything starts to go dark, and then after the dragon finally turns off, that seems like it's the end of the show. But then my little brother comes on as one of the light bulbs and is like, wait, we can't end the show like that. And they joke about like how, yeah, it brought a tear to their eye, and then I'm like, you know what, you're right, we can't end it like that. We have to do an upbeat song. And for the final upbeat song, I chose a Christmas version of the YMCA. Now, how did I decide this song? I spent a lot of time thinking, what do I do for the real final song now? Like, I found this awesome instrumental mix, but I can't find a good song that I've never used before. Like, there's too many options, it doesn't look right, or it's already been used before, it's nothing new. And then I'm like, why do I have to reinvent the wheel? I don't have to. And I was watching one of my old shows from 2020, and I saw the Christmas YMCA song, and I saw the programming, and I'm like, the song is so cool, but my programming back then was just so bad, basically. There's no other way to put it. And I was like, this is such a funny song, why don't I just reuse it? And I can make the programming so much better. So that's how I decided to use Christmas YMCA. And yeah, so this one is really cool. I picked mainly just one color to use at a time for this main verse part. And then let me go back here so I can continue playing with this. So yeah, other than the floodlights, which I don't know why I decided to have it be the opposite Christmas color, but it turned out looking fine. And I like how I have just one color, and then it switches to green, and then it'll go back to red. So white and green, and then white and red. Just not too many colors, not trying to like go crazy. And then when it gets to the chorus, it's the real rainbow effect this time. The real final end of the show rainbow effect. Normal sequencing. I like this part right here. I put twinkles on almost every prop. Twinkle effect. That turned out looking pretty cool. Continuing with the show. And then more rainbow. Another rainbow effect. This one is a bars effect with rainbow. And then the meteor effect again going down as black to turn off pixels, and it flashes, and that's the end. Full white, and then we come on saying Merry Christmas. I wanted this to have, like, if I had fireworks, I wanted fireworks to go off. So I found some fireworks sound effects, and I'm like, why don't I try and play those with the whole sequence, or with the end of the sequence, make it sound cooler, make it look cooler. There's fireworks on the screens. You can't really see it, but there's some on the projectors, and that ends the sequence. Then it goes on to the screen where I always put the year and say 2024 Bridgeport's Brightest Lights. And since this is the final show, I put on the screen also thanking everyone for coming, and I'm glad we can make their Christmases so much better. And then as a joke, I also say a huge thanks to all of our awesome neighbors for putting up with us every year. And that ends the show. That is the whole show, and a whole bunch of my thought process explained with it. We're just gonna move right on now to the sequence giveaway because I've been streaming for 2 hours. I probably won't do ranking sequences in this stream. I could save that for another time. I'm sure sometime again in the future I'll be streaming for something. So, monitor and camera. So here we have the link to the video up here for YouTube Random Comment Picker. I'm going to fetch all of the comments. I think we're just gonna go. Drum roll, please. I don't have a drum roll sound effect. That's unfortunate. I really should have came prepared. Let's pick the first winner. Heath Lawrence 1. I am new to xLights. I just started today, and your videos are helping a lot. And if I win this, it would help and mean so much. So to me, thanks for your videos. Giveaway. Congratulations, you are one of the first 3 winners. Now we will remove that. I have his name written down. His or her name. Second name. Drum roll, please. And I'm not even gonna try and say this name, but congratulations to this person with just saying giveaway in the comments. You are the second winner of the xLights sequences. I'm going to write that down here, and I'm literally just gonna copy and paste that because I'm not even gonna try to type that. One more winner, the final winner of the xLights sequences. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Luchness DU9CT. Congratulations. You are the third and final winner of the xLights sequences. Thank you everyone for commenting and entering the giveaway, and I'm glad that I could share some of my sequences. If you didn't win, but you're still very interested in them, there will be a video, probably the next one, that is going to be explaining how you can purchase them. They're not super expensive anyway. They're all under $20. So yeah. But thank you everyone for entering the giveaway. Congratulations everyone. So I talked about selling light show stuff. I talked about the light show in the future. I'll cover that again and I'll talk about the end of the light show, why that is too, because I have never fully answered that. The reason the light show is coming to an end, the biggest reason is I feel like it's not sustainable. That's the word I was thinking of for the light show for me. Every year I've been putting in more and more time into it, and it has been getting to an unhealthy level amount of time to where it's no longer fun. The light show had just gotten to a point where sometimes I'd open up xLights and I'd be excited to program sequences. Sometimes I would be miserable. Now that I can see what came of the show, I'm very happy for all the time I put in. It came out as an amazing finale. But that's the first reason. It was not sustainable for my health to just be putting in so much time into it. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to... I don't think I would be able to just take a small step back and be like, okay, I'm gonna decrease the show a little bit. I don't think I would even be able to do that. I just needed a whole break from it. So that's why there's not gonna be a big light show for a while. I'm still gonna put up lights because that doesn't take too much time, and I'm gonna reuse sequences, but it's not gonna be anywhere near as big. So that's the first reason though. It's just unhealthy, unsustainable. The second reason is, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually in high school. I'm in my senior year, so next year I'll be heading off to college. But because of that, that's going to take away so much time that I have for working on light shows. So I feel like I also have to end the light show because those are two things I don't think I'd be able to balance. So that's the second thing. Third reason, and I thought about this wasn't as big of a reason, but I always hear about people having to end their light shows because there's too much traffic in front of their house. Their neighbors started to get miserable or XYZ. I wanted to end the light show on a good note while everyone still enjoys it, not end it because there's now too much traffic or because the neighbors hate it. I feel like I ended it at a perfect time before it got too big, if that makes sense. And just because I'm done with this doesn't mean I'm forever putting lights away and never touching lights again. I feel like this just gives me the opportunity now to look into doing bigger things with all of these skills that I have. So to answer the other question though, about doing light shows at college, and this is also something really cool that I wanted to share too for the stream, is I, as of yesterday, got accepted to RIT College, Rochester Institute of Technology, and that's where I'm planning on going as long as I could figure out all of the financial end of things. But they also have a performing arts program, which I didn't think I'd qualify for because I thought like, oh, that's like singing or playing an instrument or something. But they also want people with technical skills too. And so many of these lighting skills can apply to live show lighting too. So that could be something in the future. I don't know. But there's an answer to that question. But that is going to conclude it for this live stream. Thank you everyone so much for watching, whether you're watching live now or on YouTube after. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
So there we have it. There is the celebration of the end of the show live stream, all edited and condensed down. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed getting to see the main highlights without having to watch a 2.5 hour long stream. I have a bunch of awesome videos coming up soon that I'm working on editing as fast as possible. I think I have 4 videos all recorded. I just need to edit them as fast as possible to be able to publish them. Next up is going to be the main full behind the scenes tour from the Christmas light show. It took me a little bit longer to record that because we had some bad weather and the show was buried in snow. But all that melted, I was able to record it, and by the time you're watching this, I'm probably editing it as we speak. So that's the next video to look out for. I'm also hoping to finally edit my video from 6 months ago of me building my first PC. I talked about that a long time ago. It was an awesome video I wanted to make. I just didn't find the time to schedule it in and edit it since it wasn't really related to light show stuff. But since light show season is over, I'm hoping to edit that after the behind the scenes video and publish that. And then after that, I have a bunch of videos for the What the Prop series. I'm recording them now. I have one recorded right now for the Moving Heads video. I have one recorded for the Snow Globe. There's going to be a bunch of those videos, so I'm working on them as fast as I can. There's a little brief look into the upcoming schedule. But thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments from anything that happened, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I'll try to respond as soon as I can. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.